Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy Otaku Heaven coming at you with another manga chapter review. Today is actually going to be a double review of Black Clover 54 and 55. I've been a bit late on Black Clover recently. I'm sorry about that, especially when something this huge is going on. A lot of big things are coming out of Black Clover in these past two chapters. For instance, the Sorcerer Emperor actually needs Asta's help. Basically, he says, well, if we bring Asta in, all of these guys that we captured from the White Knight's Demon's Eyes, we can extort information from them using Mark's telekinetic ability or telepathic ability. But they had a block on their brain, so we're going to use Asta to dispel the magic that was blocking Marks from accessing that information. And basically, a lot of the captains are going crazy because they've been all called to this meeting. They didn't know what's going on. They're basically just beefing with each other. And then Lil basically is another captain, the youngest captain in the whole Clover Kingdom right now. We find that out in chapter 55. He basically says, well, Fuego Leon could calm this down. Meaning that, I guess Fuego Leon, when he was alive, or active rather, he still is alive. When he was active, he was basically the one that controlled and brought the group together because everybody else was real ruly. He must have been like a natural born leader, sort of like William Vengeance seems to be. But Yami, they were talking about how William Vengeance didn't show up to any of the times when his people were getting stars. Basically, you're supposed to be there as a Magic Knight captain when any of your members gets a gold star. William Vengeance wasn't up there last time gold stars were given out, but apparently neither was Yami too. Yami was just like, oh, I was gambling during that time, so that's where I was. But he's like, you wouldn't have had nothing to do, would you, William Vengeance? Like, use light magic. So Yami's starting to think the same thing that I actually was beginning to think, but that William Vengeance might actually be light. Um, it would explain a lot of things about for instance, how Light knew about the Clover book, and well, he did say someone else knew about that Clover book as well. Yami also apparently knows about the Clover book. We find that out in 55 through a little small detail. I'll tell you about that later, but I guess I said that wrong. It doesn't really explain anything of his assumptions, but anyway, Aston Marks finally just starts the info, and they're like, the traitor is cuts the chapter off right there. So we're left at chapter 54. Moving on to 55, we get to see a lot of information about the White Knight's Demon's Eyes from the information Marks got out using his telepathy power. Basically, they have about 50 members. They always move their base, so the base never stays on one place, so such that it will never get compromised. And their whole goal is to, build their own kingdom. And everyone in the White Knight's Demon's Eyes have a significant hate towards the Clover Kingdom, such as to not let any information leak. I believe is the reason they're making that rule up. Moving along, we find out Geldor is a traitor, the captain of the Purple Orca. And basically, this dude just straight up looks like a traitor. He reminds me of the Full Metal Alchemist guy, the old church goer guy. He basically had the Philosopher's Stone and was very corrupt, acting as if he was a seer messenger from God, but he really actually wasn't. That's who it reminds me of anyway. But Geldor completely denies the claims. Well, Mark's like, well, my memory magic is absolute. Whatever I say, that's it. That's exactly what happened. There's no disputing it. And Yami suggests that, well, if you just need to calm down, because if that's the true case, we'll just read your memory. And if your memory states that you actually aren't part of it, then you're good to go. And Geldor starts tripping out. He doesn't want them to view into his memory because something shady was definitely going on. So he basically tries to run using his permeate magic, or permeate magic, I forget what it's called, invisible army, proclaiming that he would clear his name. So he still is acting under the assumption that he didn't do anything wrong. So he's actually still wanting to clear his name, which may make one assume that he actually didn't do anything wrong, or he maybe did some kind of underhanded deal that would could have led to something that went wrong. Something like that happened because, as we see in this chapter later on, he basically climbed to the top using all of his underhanded deals to get there. And basically, Yami isn't worried about it. He's like, ah, it's fine. Somebody had actually commented that he's pretty much invincible now with that thing going off, and he's like, uh, the leader of the Purple Orcas, Geldor, was just like, this is how I climbed to the top along with underhanded business deals. I used this power to gain the edge on everyone that I needed to gain the edge on in order to, advance me as a person and as a Magic Knight captain. So he did all these things, all these underhanded things, so he's already at a place where he most likely shouldn't be a Magic Knight captain anyway. Not someone that's respected and looked up to in the Clover Kingdom. But Aster uses his key. Basically, he's able to sense the aura around the person without using any magic, so he manages to actually go in and take him out. And he's like, damn, did I just get beat by a Magic Knight recruit? So Aster just took down a Magic Knight captain, someone who apparently has a lot of stars at this point. Find out, I believe it was in 54, 55. I know it's in one of them. We find out when the captains are having a dispute about stars. Well, what was really funny was Yami was like, I have a lot of black stars, but just like, those don't matter. But it was really funny because it was, I mean, like I said, it relates a lot to Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail, was very famous for destroying entire towns when they go on a mission in that town. So, the Black Bull, obviously, same thing. So they get black stars for that. So Yami's proud of those. Just like, not suing them would be proud of destroying the town. Anyhow, Lil, we got to see what his magic is. He has painting magic. He uses Spring of Restoration to basically trap the dude Geldor into a picture, so they could read his memory and see what all information he gave, what all the underhanded deals were, anything like that. And Yami was like, well, everybody was mad because they missed out on getting to fight another Magic Captain and test out their power. And Yami wasn't really worried about it all. He's like, I just wanted to get my posing in. As Magic Knight Captains, that's something we should do. And Julius was like, oh, I'm glad you guys were here because I don't know how to restrict my power. He would have probably, screwed up the whole town. Which is what the little Scarface dude said. He's like, we could have just had the newbies rebuild after we, messed things up as long as we got a chance to fight them. And Aster's just looking at all these guys while this is going down. He's like, whoa, this is a crazy ladder I gotta climb. He's pretty shocked about everything that's going on. He's thinking all the guys are really weird. Lil then decides he wants to make friends with Aster, and he's like, I'm tired of being polite to all these uppers. I don't have to be that overly polite to you. We can just be friends. And Aster's like, with a Magic Knight? That's pretty damn cool. So he manages to make friends with a Magic Knight, take down a Magic Knight, and then made it. I guess his head got really big because he started talking shit about Yami right in the middle of, right at the end. He's like, yeah, all these guys are weirdos too. And before, Lil was actually making impressions of not only Fuego Leon but Yami. At first, he was laughing at his impression. Yami was laughing at his impersonation of Fuego Leon, but as soon as he impressed Yami started getting pissed off back in chapter 54. That was pretty funny too. But anyway, William Vincent's commented at the end. He's like, well, we might need to leave it alone for now because he may be under the control of somebody. So when Marks reads his memory, then even though that's absolute, the memory could be being manipulated by somebody, because if you could tell, the man was pretty sure that he was innocent and he wanted to leave and clear his name. But this could drive him into the hands of the White Knight's Demon's Eyes, giving him another member, which of William Vengeance is Light. He's always wearing a mask, or Licked, however you want to say it. He's always wearing a mask, so we could never really tell. That would be good for him to take another Magic Knight captain and place him in his order, basically, in order to overthrow the kingdom, which would be really, really big thing that would happen. So William Vengeance is like, yeah, we just ignore this for now until we know for sure that he's not being manipulated, which could be really easy to figure out. All you have to do is Asta would have to do is tap him on the head before Marks reads his memory, just the same thing he did to the other ones to make sure nothing was going on in there. And unless somebody had a power that changed the memory permanently, then that would be something too, or erase the memory permanently, so he could have helped somebody. But then if they erased the memory permanently, then he would have had no say. Like, he wouldn't have thought he betrayed the Clover Kingdom at all. So on top of that, that would boast his innocence. But overall, these two chapters were really good in combination. They might not have been so great on single, but with the two in combined, reading them on a double chapter review I'm just gonna give him a 10 out of 10 because I loved everything that happened here. We got to see a whole coup go down. We got to see Aster advance a whole lot. We got to see a lot more of the Magic Knight captains. We got to see Lil, and we even got to see back in 54, Rosary still trying very hard to hold her composure when Yami sit next to her because she's in love with Yami, but she's a really strong, like almost on the power level of Amazonian types. They like, even though they have love, they try not to show it because they try to be strong, independent women. Not like a feminist, but like more like an Amazonian, but just without all the buffness because she still holds her beauty. Um, one could argue that Amazonians do too, but I don't really think so. But that's all, guys. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed this chapter. That's all, guys. Peace.